I don't know if you can see it from here, but you talk about frost covered, and that's on the inside. Does seem a lot warmer in here. Let's take a look and see what the temp is in here this morning. I'm amazed. It's 26 degrees outside and it's about 34 in here. That's a huge difference. The plants, the sprouting broccolis that I'm growing in the buckets, they look good. Now, I will have to admit, the last time it got down to, I think it was 28 that it got down to, I didn't have the sides rolled down that night. And these things looked like they were solid frozen. I did have these covers over top of my lettuces and my brassicas over here and radishes, but they were still very, very cold. They were definitely frozen, but during the day, they greened up and they look beautiful. I'll be back out here today to look at these raised beds and show you what they look like. But let's go on out through the back of the building here. And we're gonna let the little ladies out. The sun's up. I know their water will be frozen. It was froze the other day, but I'll go get a fresh pan of water and that thing will thaw out during the sun. I don't know if that helps or not, but I can just imagine a raccoon getting up there and getting in. Besides, if I don't put this piece back in that door, that thing will latch and lock me in. Trust me, I've had to use a stick several times to get out before I started using this little clip here. But putting the clip back in the top, it can't shut. I don't get locked in. All right, let's let the little ladies out this morning. Yeah, their water container's frozen solid. Little ladies, if you were smart, you'd stay in there for a couple hours this morning. And Daddy is gonna have to go get you some water because your water is frozen solid. And I hear that puppy crying in the back sunroom because she can see Daddy and she can't come see you. All right. There we go, little girls. Y'all ready to come out? Looks like you've still got plenty of food here. But I'm gonna have to go get you some fresh thawed water. Come on out, ladies. It's a nice cold morning this morning. Very, very cold. Now, ladies, I'll have to go get you. I know you always wake up thirsty. Let me go get you some water that's not frozen. Yes, little ladies, I've got your water. Honey, you're the friendliest one of all, aren't you? All right, guys, as I say many times, and never let it bother you, life just happens. When I was putting together this video originally, I said I'd be back out to check on the plants. Well, there was things that came up. Not that I can remember what they were now, but there were things that came up and I didn't make it out. So I'm going to show you now what's going on with the raised beds and the plants. And as it's later, it's now time to harvest quite a bit of this. I don't get a lot of wind in here, so I've not been having to put a lot of clips and things on the frost cover. It just sits on there quite well. I'm really surprised at just how airtight this little greenhouse has become. I don't think when I did the video before I had brought in this pot full of thyme, and this was, I believe, the 3rd year, and that stuff I absolutely love cooking, especially if I'm roasting vegetables with several of those twigs down in the bottom of a roasting pan. It just gives the food such a wonderful flavor. All right, so let's roll this back just so that you can see. And I do, oh, this is the longer one, so it did. That was the longer one, so it does clip. But I want you to take a look at this. This is romaine lettuce, and I could definitely harvest it. This is my solar flare, and as I've told you many times, if you've followed me, I love solar flare lettuce, and I get that seed from Baker Creek Seeds. This is the Lola Rosa, and that's the prettiest my Lola Rosa has ever been. It's bigger. And I did have a few leaves blow in there before I got it covered. But Lola Rosa, from what I have read, is the oldest known cultivated variety of lettuce. That lettuce originated from Egypt, and the Egyptians found some leaves that they liked, and they started cultivating the wild lettuce, and eventually it became the Lola Rosa, and I really like it. These are some actually seeds that I bought that was supposed to be raised hydroponically, and they were quite expensive, but I wanted to try the variety. This is a red oak leaf variety, and it's done well. This is a little frilly leafed lettuce, and I'm well pleased with it. And yes, I had a few more of my solar flare lettuce plants, so I stuck them in there. Now over in this bed, I'm making do with what I had. I didn't have enough frost covers that were as large as that other one, so I have overlapped two, and all in the world I've done is put a clothespin on there to hold it. This bed was planted about a week or so after that one, but I want you to take a look at it. Now that is my Landis winter lettuce, and I absolutely love that stuff. And as I've said before, I've been able to grow that out in my garden. It actually snowed on it with no cover on it whatsoever, and it survived. But Landis winter lettuce is a very, very winter hardy lettuce. I guess that's why they call it winter lettuce. There's some more solar flare, a little smaller, and this is some more of the lettuce, the frilly leaf that was seed that was supposed to be raised in hydroponic. And of course I have a few more of the Landis winter lettuce stuck in there. Now this is something that my daughter-in-law loves. She loves butter crunch lettuce, and this is the prettiest butter crunch lettuce that I've raised, and I raised quite a bit. And I did not realize that I could raise dill as long as I could keep it from freezing in very cold temperatures. So there's a couple of dill plants there. Over here on this end, I have some endive. Endive tends to be a little bit bitter, but it just makes a great addition to a salad. It gives it that little twang. And this, of course, is my tub of brassicas. It's definitely time for me to start harvesting some of those Swiss chard leaves and enjoying them. And as you can see, the leaves, the older leaves, are beginning to die back on the pak choi. The pak choi is past due in being picked. It actually matured faster than the others. This is some Ursula kale right here. And Ursula kale is a cross between Siberian kale, which is extremely winter hardy, and red Russian. So I look forward to trying that. That's the first time I've raised it. These here, these pretty little plants right here, this is actually collard greens. Not everybody likes collard greens, but I do, and I have several of them. And I just had room to stick a couple of the Vates Scotch blue curl leaf kale. And I had watched Charles Dowding, and he talked about how these plants mature a lot slower, and there's a lot of room under them to plant radishes in there. So I'll have to say, I've got some breakfast radishes that are ready to be picked, and there's a few of the little globe radishes that are ready to be picked. I'll start picking the radishes this weekend. Now, for those of you that are not fans of radishes, try roasting them. It totally changes the flavor. And another thing you can do is slice them thinly, chop up some onion to go with them, and fry them in a little olive oil. You don't need a lot of oil, but fry them in a little olive oil. And when they're fried with onions, salt, and pepper, it's amazing how much different they taste. And they're actually a very good substitute for potatoes, which are very, very high in carbs. This is my little flower pot full of parsley, and it's doing a little bit better. I do like to use parsley. And I want you to look how these Calabrese sprouting broccolis have really taken off. They've not been in the pots that long, but it's going to be amazing. I do not cover them because they're very cold hardy. Now, they will freeze back, don't get me wrong. But in the greenhouse, they'll probably be okay without any cover. But I have some poles that I bought when I lived at the other house, and I said poles, some PVC pipe, 1 inch. So I did go back on Amazon, and I have bought enough of these little fittings here for 1 inch pipes to make a frame up over these. Now, I did use the same little hoops in my garden this summer that are over those, but Calabrese sprouting broccoli gets a lot taller than those hoops, and it eventually just pushed the netting off, which allowed the insects in. So these little poles, as you can see, that's going to give that little Calabrese, even in that bucket, quite a bit of height. So, and I have over here, I've been using some of this insect netting. You can tell by looking at it that it's old. I've been using some of it for quite a few years. I have enough to cover this to keep any bugs off of it, but now I am going to have to pick up some more frost cover. That's just a fact of life. The Dino kale, black kale, or Tuscan kale, and when I bought it, it was sold under the name of Tuscan kale, but it did reference that it was also called the Dino kale. I like the flavor of it, so I have that out here. We have 2 Brunswick cabbages here. That's just a green head cabbage. I got those seeds years ago from Baker Creek, and I had a couple of little smaller ones. I put them in the pot by themselves, and they went in a little bit later than these, and you can tell a difference in the size of them. I have some oregano that I'll overwinter, and I have a few other herbs here and some stuff that I thought would be winter hardy, but guess what? It wasn't. Those things look dead.